and how many people are affected by it. Turns out 1 out of 3 of us have been affected in this studio already this morning. Pollock is finally here. A little frustrating out there, huh? Sitting there stuck at a red light.
I literally think I could have walked faster.
Probably from your house.
Yeah.
Our conversation with Bob today, presented by Marcus and Mack, voted best law firm and best personal injury lawyer 3 years in a row in the Best of Indiana County contest. Visit them online at marcusandmack.com. So where do we stand right now on the amount of light that we're allowing our poinsettias and Christmas cacti to get?
No change.
No change
Yeah,
yet.
I want to be in the dark at least 12 hours a day. Solid
Complete.
dark, complete darkness,
Uh-huh.
and then out in the light during the day. So either move the plant in and out, or if you have a place that you can, a room where you can control that, or you could set it on a timer too. All kind of timers that you could use if you have a room that will stay dark, or there's lights on, or if you need supplemental lighting during the day, if you don't have a sunny enough spot, because they do like sun during the day, but we need that complete darkness at night to not foul up the plant.
So what do people, they use the blackout blinds, or what do they use?
Well, yeah, I mean, as long as it's dark, I mean, a little bit of light that might filter in through the curtains, but if you're out where you don't have street lights or pole lights or things like that, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And it seems like poinsettias might be a little bit more sensitive to that than the cacti, but nonetheless, got to keep that going. We're not that far off from where some people that are doing that may already be starting to see color at this point.
Okay.
Go
Well,
from
good
there.
for them.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I have never seen fatter skunks than I am seeing right now. And my yard is torn up by these things and by moles as they get after those grubs and whatever else it is that they're digging up out of there and feasting upon. I told you a couple of weeks ago we had a group of Amish kids come by for trick-or-treating, and they were standing out on the driveway, and I said, I opened the inside door, and I said, well, come on up. And they said no, because there was a skunk sitting on the porch, just enjoying the night. Yard damage caused by skunks, moles, all of those things, and the tunnels that they make and everything. Just got to wait that out till spring.
At this point,
Yeah, I don't need to tamp things down.
no. Some of that's going to happen naturally over the winter months as we
collapse.
get freeze and thaw cycles. That's going to move, and so some of that will disappear. And you really can't, we're a little bit late to seed. I mean, you could seed now, knowing that it's probably not going to come up at this point. It'll wait till spring.
I don't know. There's plenty of grass coming up in my driveway.
Yeah. I don't doubt that a bit. Isn't it amazing?
Yeah, yeah, it really is.
Where things will grow. Some things can be very persistent.
But is that damage?
Grass? Those grasses are mostly perennial grasses. And surprisingly, we haven't had a lot of moisture, so a lot of that, we're gonna. The germination of a lot of those seeds is going to be limited because it's been so dry, which could be a good thing because there's a lot of winter annual weeds, broadleafed weeds, especially chickweeds. Chickweed's a great example because it'll be green as green. It's germinated now, but it has like little mouse-eared leaves on it, pretty fine textured plant, low growing, hugging the ground for the most part. It'll grow up maybe 2 or 3 or 4 inches at the most. But anyhow, those are plants that actually germinate and grow over the fall and the winter into the spring. Then they mature, die. They're essentially annual plants, but they will overwinter. They're hardy enough to do that.
Their growing cycle is reversed.
The cold doesn't really affect them. Yeah, it's a reverse cycle. Yeah.
I have a very squat little weed growing, and it's basically overtaken part of the front yard. It's a purplish, rustish type of color with a broad leaf on it that really has choked out the grass there. And in the wintertime, it becomes very, very obvious. In the summertime, they're greener.
Green, yeah.
But it's really going to make it look like a mess.
Yeah, and there's of course the creeping Charlie will be there.
He is a creep,
which is a
isn't
vine. Yeah. I wonder. You look at some of these names and you wonder how in the world, what were they thinking when they came up with? Why did they? Creeping Charlie.
But how
we're not going to get into
permanent
that,
is the damage that is being caused by skunks and moles and things of that nature?
A lot of that can be temporary. Some of that's beneficial, right? Because the skunks are eating insects, so they're most likely eating grubs. They will really root around to find grubs. So grubs, of course, are the larvae of several different beetle species. It might be the Japanese beetle. So if you think back and if you had noticed you had a number of Japanese beetles flying around during the summer months, then we can start to piece that together. Oh, they laid eggs in August, and then those eggs hatched. And now we have a larva, which is a cream-colored,
gross
wrinkly, looking little creature with 3 pairs of legs, and they live in the soil, and they feed on roots. So they will chew the roots of the lawn.
Skunks and moles feed on them.
And then, skunks and moles feed on those, and so it's part of the cycle. So you're actually reducing the population of grubs, when those other creatures come in and feed on them. It'd be nice if they were a little less messy in how they went about their work. Birds, crows, other birds will also go after those. And you can sometimes see they are much neater about how
they are. They're very direct.
Forage. Yes, I mean, they stick their beak right down in the ground, grab that food and exit, and actually you get your yard a little bit aerated in the process of that. So there's pluses to minuses to all this, and if you get enough of that activity, they'll reduce the population enough that you don't need to do anything else.
Yeah,
you don't need to apply an insecticide to help curb that grub population. So Japanese beetles is one. May beetles, June beetles, European chafers, those are in the adult stage. Those are all beetles of various colors. Some of those are brown beetles. Some of them are metallic green. You have a metallic green color to them. So they vary. Those adults vary in their shape, size, and everything, but they have a common larval stage, and all of those are root feeders.
I want to ask you about this because with the dryness, with the wind and everything, and how we saw a very large brush fire yesterday. We've had a ton of them this week, and we're getting all kinds of warnings and proposals for burn bans and things of that nature. Burning your leaves does absolutely nothing in terms of nutrients for the soil. You're better to chop them up, right?
Yeah, much better, more value by chopping them up, or even just taking them and piling them in a pile and let them rot down on their own. Essentially a compost pile. If you can push them to the sides, if you have a woods edge that you can take the leaves and just push them back into the woods, you can build yourself a great compost pile for the future. When you need potting soil and to touch things up and compost, it's, once that decays, that leaf mold, and then it turns back into soil. All we have to do is go out in the woods and
there it is.
Rake that leaf layer off, and you get down in there and you see the results of nice black, dark, humusy material. So that's nature's mulch. And I was just the National Wildlife Federation has National Wildlife Federation, has a nice little fact sheet on what you can do with the leaves and why you might want to preserve leaves or leave them in place. Now, of course, we can't really leave too many leaves on the yard. We can use that, though, on the yard itself as an organic material source, but we need to chop those up, kind of use a mulching mower technique to take care of those, so that you can leave some of those in place on the yard.
Yeah, that's what I do.
And then, if we have too many leaves or too much to handle, then we can either shred those leaves and then put them back on the beds as mulch around trees, around shrubs, around perennials, around plants that maybe we just planted within the last year or two that may not be completely established yet, and put that leaf layer on there. And of course, sometimes we use leaves. We'll put a fence, and we might want to protect less hardy plants. So maybe have some roses or some plants you're playing with that are on the borderline of being hardy enough here, but you're taking a chance because they have nice attributes. And so we can, put a little fence up, pile those leaves in there, use that as insulation over the winter months. And there's a lot of the National Wildlife Federation fact sheet goes into, there's just a lot of insects and beneficial creatures that use that mulch or need that mulch to complete their life cycle or to survive the winter. They bury down in that to survive.
And we all sing Circle of Life right after that, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we could.
All right. He's Bob Pollock, the Extension Service. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, WCCSradio.com. Careful in that traffic out there, especially you. Fox News coming up a couple of moments away from now. Josh Widdison in the WCCS newsroom right after that. It's a minute away from 8.